Hey there, Pastor Al here on this Wednesday. Thank you for joining me and for being a part of my Wednesday today. And grateful that we can share the Word of God and some truth about God and His nature today. Our text today comes from the book of 2 Peter chapter 2. And it talks about how God in His nature has the ability to do things on our behalf, but also to ordain and sovereignly judge the other side, the ungodly side as well. And Peter, in his epistle, if you remember that Peter's walked with Christ for quite a long time during his ministry. In fact, he was one of the first ones that was called. He and Andrew, his brother, and then James and John were called from the seashore to follow Jesus, and they followed him over 3 years as he ministered. Peter then later writes these letters to bring profound truth about God's nature and to remind us about the sovereignty and the power of God. And in verse 9 it says this, and I'll kind of encapsulate the preface to this verse in just a moment. Verse 9 says this: "Then the Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust under punishment for the day of judgment." Now, prior to this, Peter's talking about the angels who've been reserved for judgment, how the world who was sinful, that Noah was delivered from that world, and how that part of the world was judged by the flood, and how Lot was delivered from Sodom and Gomorrah. So one of the things that we learn about God's nature, it's actually twofold. Number one, God knows in His wisdom, and He knows in His knowledge how to protect us and how to deliver us from temptation. He can be our assurance when we have doubt. He can be our strength when we're weak. He can be our exhortation when we know we're doing wrong. He can be a lot of things for us to deliver us from evil, out of temptation. And really, Jesus prayed, He said, not to protect us out of evil or take us out of evil, but protect us from the evil one. Satan is the originator of sin, of course, and he is instrumental in us falling a lot of times. And God protects us from the evil one. He knows how to deliver us. He knows that whatever need we might have, no matter what we might be going through, He has the ability to protect us. If He did for Noah and for Lot, the same thing. It's not the only times that He was ever protecting His own, but we see countless times where God steps in and intervenes on behalf of His children. And so we shouldn't think that God thinks about it any differently today. He thinks about that for us today. If we're struggling, if we're having doubts about our walk with Him, if we're maybe in a sin and God is trying to get us out of it, these things are just as real today as they were back when we see them penned in the Word of God. The second thing that God does is He's aware of the ungodly, and He is strong enough, powerful enough, wise enough to reserve them for judgment. There isn't one person who should ever think that they're going to be able to scam God. Not one person that ever drew breath that is wiser than God, that can pull one over on God, that can fool Him. And the fool has said in his heart in Psalms that there is no God. And so if we think about the fact that we'll slide nothing past God, whether we're righteous or unrighteous, it's really just that it's a great sobering thought that even the ungodly who thinks that they can outsmart God will one day stand in judgment before Him, and He knows how to reserve them for justice and for judgment. And so I just want you to go home with this thought today, that no matter what place you might be in your walk with Christ, God, if you're a believer, God has an ability to protect you from the evil one, to deliver you out of temptation, according to 2 Peter 2:9. But also for those that don't know Him, those that rebel and those that defy Him, those that are going against Christians today, which are many, God has the ability to reserve them for judgment and for justice and punishment for eternity. Why can God do it? Because of His sovereignty, His wisdom, His power. And I just want you to go home with that thought. Hopefully it's an encouragement to you today. And as always, have a great day in Jesus.